All right, so step one is we need to acquire some solar panels. And boom, look at these bad boys. 405 watt panels. These things are 76 inches tall, almost as tall as me. Crazy. Lots of power. 4 of them, 505 watts apiece. So we should be able to generate 1620 watts of power in peak sunlight. And this is going to be one of 2 or possibly 3 layers of panels, which will bring us to a total of 3240 or what's that? Good God, I can't math. If I'm mathing correctly, 4860. So that should bring us to a total of either 3240 or 4860 watts. But already 1620 is quite a lot of power. And like I said, there will be at least one more layer of that, so 3240, or potentially a third layer for, again, if I'm mathing correctly, 4860. And all in all, this will be more than enough power for what I need. Way more. This will power a small home. So we're going to be all set. All right, now on to the next step. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do now that we have our panels is get the roof rack built to hold our solar panels. And so we're out here in the carport today. Let me show you. We have all of our lumber. There is a helicopter passing overhead. Hopefully it's not too loud. We have a miter saw, a bunch of various tools in there, and we have our table saw because we're going to need to rip a couple of these 2x4s down the center. It is supposed to rain today off and on, so hopefully we don't get too wet, but also I'm not really mad about it because it is cooling it off quite a bit. It was like 90 something out here earlier and now it's low to mid 80s. So maybe we'll get some actual cool storm footage while we're out here as well. I will cut in some footage here of the 3D model that I made in AutoCAD so you guys can see what we're about to build. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get this done and I will speed the whole thing up for you guys. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, here we go. All of these in great condition for free. And they're all alive. So we can go that guys. It's just so let's get that. Just a little bit taller. All right, let's get started. This way. Raining. But we're getting it done. All right, so that is all of the ripping that we need to do. Now we just need to make a few cuts with the miter saw and then we'll start screwing everything together. And you might be thinking to yourself, what exactly is the point of vacuuming up all the sawdust if you're about to just break out the miter saw and do some more chopping? And the answer is, of course, it is raining, so I don't want it to turn into a bunch of sloppy, clumpy, wet mess that I have to vacuum up later. Plus, being the OCD neat freak that I am, I just generally don't like my work area being disgusting. Okay then, onto the chopping.
Yes, my boy is a good boy. Yes, he is.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go. 163 3/4. Gotcha. 163 and 3/4. 163. Three and 3/4. Means halfway is 2 4 70. 6 8 81 and a half plus 3 8 81 and a half plus 3 8 81 7 8. So it should be. There we go. Now let's go ahead and mark the other point 7.2. Screw that. Okay, so now we have our long verticals. Let me show you what I mean. These two long pieces here. These two long pieces here. These are 160, basically 165 inches. And so we have the 2x4 that we ripped down the middle to make it a 2x2. That is attached to the inside. And this one is going to be flipped 180 so that the two insides are facing each other. We have another 2x2 screwed onto that one. And so the panels, whenever this one is flipped around and the two insides are facing each other, the panels will lay right down in between there. And they're the same length as the width of all four of those because the panels are going to go sideways right down into them. Now, what we need to get are the cross members that are going to go underneath these long rails. So the long rails are going to run down the length of the trailer. We're going to have some cross members that go horizontally across the trailer. Those are going to be bolted into the frame of the trailer. So the roof of the trailer has steel frame cross members. We're going to get inside the trailer. We're going to drill up through that. So we have some 1/4-inch holes inside the frame going out through the roof. We're going to drill 1/4-inch holes into these into our horizontal pieces. And then we're going to drop bolts down through with some little rubber washers to make sure it seals up and there are no leaks. And then we're going to bolt those cross members onto the top of the trailer. So it's bolted into the steel frame of the trailer. And then those long vertical pieces are going to screw onto those horizontal cross members. Let me show you what I'm talking about. How many times can I do that hand transition? Okay, so now I have enough done that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let's come around here and boom. So we have the two long rails that go down that way. That is the length of the width of 4 panels. So all 4 panels will lay in there just like that. And then we have these cross members that are going to go underneath the long rails under there. And the cross members will be bolted into the roof of the trailer over there, which is what we're getting ready to go do right now. Go drill our holes for... Yes, we're going to go drill our holes for that right now. All right, so now you can see what I'm talking about in here. We have these steel cross members going across there. We're going to drill up through those out to the roof, and then we'll have some holes through which we can attach our wooden cross members up top. So let's get to it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now that we have our holes drilled up through the ceiling, now we can climb up on top and put our horizontal cross members across the top and mark the holes for where we need to drill for our bolt holes in the wooden cross members. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Hey, zoom out 0.6. Oh no, we zoomed out 0.6. Yep, so there are the horizontal ones, roughly over where the holes go, or where the holes came through. So there's one hole there. You know, we got roughly in the right position. Now I'm gonna get the overhang on this side and the overhang on the other side centered up so it's the same, you know, it's even amount of overhang on both sides. Or I don't know, that's really an aesthetic choice. I might push it all forward and overhang more on one side. Anyways, I'll let you know what I decide. But yeah, I'm gonna position these where I want them, and then I will mark the holes, and then we'll get down, drill the holes, and we'll get back up here, pop the bolts through, and bolt it to the roof. And then we're ready for the long ways pieces after that. So we are running out of daylight. So I'm gonna try to get all this done before it gets dark. Here we go. Fucking fruit flies, goddamn it. Okay, so ran out of daylight. Okay, so ran out of daylight yesterday. I found out just as it was getting dark that the bolts that I had purchased for the wooden cross members that go through the roof were just a little too short, so I had to run back to Home Depot and get some new bolts anyways. Ran out of daylight, went ahead and cleaned up for the day and called it a day. We got the cross members cut and drilled and ready to be mounted with the bolts. Have the longer bolts, half an inch longer than the previous bolts. And now we're ready to put them in. There's one last thing I want to do, which is to drill out the holes in the wooden cross members just a little bit more, so I have a little bit of wiggle room. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's get up the ladder here. And yeah, so here's our holes that correspond to these holes here. And it fits, they're aligned, but it's just a little tight trying to get it in. So I'm going to drill these out just a little bit more so the wood has a little bit of wiggle room, so it fits down in there more easily. And then we're going to get those bolted in. So let's see here. Oh, God, that's nice. Okay. Watch your forward, left side, so we get it. Success. Now let's go to the underside and bolt these in. That's it. Make sure we have this. Success. All right, now let's just get this done for the remaining cross members, and then we can install the lengthwise rails that go across our wooden cross members. Okay. Oh my god. Yeah. Boy, that voice on. There we go. Yeah, boy. Okay, I can't really see shit, but we got our cross members installed. Let me show you. Oh, so beautiful. And I can't see because I'm holding the camera like 5 feet above my head, but hopefully you guys can see. I think you can. I think you can. If you take up here, got all our bolts in, down both sides, and tighten down. You may have wondered, how did I hold it on the top side and tighten it on the bottom side? Let me show you. If you have a pair of vice grips and something heavy like this 45-pound weight, you can put your vice grips on the bolt up top and the weight in the way so that the vice grips can't turn. The breeze up top feels very nice. Anyways, then whenever you go down and start tightening, vice grips don't move, holds the bolt in place. You can do a 2-person job with 1 person. Trade secret. Okay, so now it is time to determine the positioning of the lengthwise railing. How far back we're going to go, how far forward, how much overhang on each side.